Hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and welcome to this Trope Tuesday. Glad to have you. Today, and kind of this whole week, we're going to be talking about. I don't want to phrase it as three pillars of tabletop role playing, but I suppose it would be three pillars, kind of, sort of. And it's the idea of today doing battle. Like, do you do battle? Do you flee, or do you problem solve? And I don't know if it's either or. Although I suppose in the heat of the moment you can uh, choose one way or the other. But we might have a little chance to do all three. And with today being Trope Tuesday and the latest episode of the third episode, rather, yeah, latest episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it made me think of some funky action movie tropes that we often don't see in role-playing games, but might be kind of fun to play with. And the great thing about tropes, and the reason why it's kind of turned to Trope Tuesday, it used to be we used to talk about like gaming mechanics and all kinds of things, and used to be randomized. But the one thing I love about tropes is that they're easy. You pull them out your pocket, you throw them out. Everyone, for the most part, ends up being on the same page. Now, they may not particularly like the trope, or some people might find it a little bit it might be too common, seen it before, too predictable or whatnot. But of course, the best thing about tropes is that when everyone is on the same page, you can absolutely positively flip those tropes. So what trope are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about player characters manhandling, and mishandling the big bad. Maybe not. It may not be so much of a big bad, but it might be the bad guy in the hands of the player characters, and they don't want to beat the bad guy's ass, or they can't, or they there's a reason why they can't. And a lot of this comes from the action movie trope, and I'll explain to you some of the tropes that are used in action movies, where sometimes the big bad, it really is actually one of the player characters, if you play your cards right, and you can have a lot of fun with this. So one very common action movie trope is the hero can't solve the problem until the bad guy joins the group. Okay. And a lot of times you'll see this in modern day action, where the the hero has to break the villain out of prison to do a thing, right? Because of course everyone knows the bad guy can't be trusted, but the hero does it anyway, or the villain's like, I know where the MacGuffin is, the bomb, the kidnappee, the nuclear codes, whatever the case may be. But they go, well, if you take me along, I can't exactly give you the coordinates or where it's at. You have to go along with my plans to release me. Now, oftentimes what happens is the bad guy in this situation, and as I mentioned, the bad guy could actually be a PC, a player character who wants to play like an anti-hero of sorts in your adventure or something. A lot of times that bad guy has like a very extremely noticeable soft spot. Maybe they have an evil code that they will abide by. Dungeons and Dragons, lawful evil plays into this. Like, if I make a promise, I never break my promise, and that might be the bad guy's code, right? And you can, and despite the fact that you know how heinous this person is, you can trust them. Another thing might be the bad guy basically has an axe to grind bigger than the heroes. Hey, I don't care about being in prison. I know I did something wrong, but there's this other evil, more evil thing out there that I have to stop. Much like it would be the equivalent of Superman, breaking Lex Luthor out of prison because Lex Luthor knows the Earth will be destroyed. And Earth's like, and I mean, Earth is, it's like it's saying something back. Lex Luthor is like, well, I don't want to die on Earth. And I know you, Superman, you're kind of stupid, but I know I can, help out Earth, which um, using the Lex Luthor analogy brings up another thing. Maybe the bad guy just wants to one up the hero. Ha! You're in my debt. You owe me a favor, or you have to do something against your moral code. Ha ha! And put that person into line. And that's a very common thing. As a matter of fact, such movies as 48 Hours, in which a criminal is released from jail to go on a mission with the hero for 48 hours. There's a movie called 310 to Yuma, where it is a Western. I think it's been done twice. It may have been done three times, but I believe at least two versions of this movie have been made where a desperado in the Wild West is captured and handcuffed, and they have to be taken to a train to be taken to prison. It's the train 310 to Yuma, and a retired hero must take the notorious bad guy with them on this long journey to get on this train, and then hilarity ensues. And so there may even be a villain whose plans are very small in the scope of things, where the hero's like, you know what, your evil plans really don't. I mean, technically you're the evil bad guy, but you're not really that evil. We see this a lot in police procedurals where someone owns a pawn shop selling stolen goods, or they're a drug dealer or something, but there's a serial killer out there, and the cops stop them, the corner kids or something, or goes to the mobster and it's like, we're not listen, I know we've got beef with each other, but this is more important. There's a cop killer out there, and the mob guy's like, we don't kill cops, we know what to, we're not that stupid. And the cop is like, yeah, I know you're not that stupid, I need you to put your feelers out there. And they're like, feelers? Well, I want to know who this person is too, because they're drawing heat on us. How about we team up together, et cetera, right? And the reason why I bring up the hero and villain teaming up is because we are Vampanoid like Ozymandias, or Ozymandias from The Watchmen. Yeah, oh yeah, technically a villain. Technically, probably had been a villain early on in his career, and of course does the whole monologuing to the heroes, because his plan had already gone off with like a half hour after they got there, as if heroes traveling to like the Antarctic or something like that wouldn't the villain wouldn't be like, why don't I just press the doomsday button now? I don't have to wait. I know they're coming for me. Yeah, and technically the bad guy in both the Watchmen uh, graphic novel, the book, the movie, and the HBO series as well. So yeah, kind of in there. And yeah, it's funny because I pulled up the Chess Master, or actually came upon the Chess Master in the TV tropes, and the reason why I stopped here is because it's pretty hilarious, the visual cues we get when we talk about tropes, and it is such an iconic trope, and that is hearing classical music being played and the villain playing chess. Like, that is that if that ain't such a trope, man, you know. Oh, Vampanoid says even Superman from the Injustice arc. Yep, Superman, going crazy and becoming the one of the most powerful dictatorial villains of all time because of the death of Lois Lane, or and variations thereof. Who Superman crosses a line and can't come back from crossing that line, which in many ways the hero might be one who wants to pull the newly found villain back off the edge. Like, I could imagine this kind of character being like a Jedi performing some kind of genocidal act or something, destroying a space habitat, or blasting a city or something, or murdering people in the streets to stop some kind of evil, or a goodly knight laying waste to innocent people to stop some kind of evil, and just can't pull back from it, breaking their own code and just realizing that, they can't be forgiven. And if they can't be forgiven, if you can't play the hero, you might as well become the villain. Or of course, as it says, if you live long enough, you'll see yourself become the villain. Or there's, I shredded that quote, but you get the point. So the reason why I bring it up, because this week we're talking about fighting, like doing battle, fighting, fleeing, running from a fight, or like problem solving. And one of the cool things about the whole villain thing is that a lot of times it can involve all three, right? We get the hero and villain having to work together to try to figure something out. We get all the we with the problem solving, the hero who might not want to do the sneaky thing, but the villain is like, yeah, let's poison the Duke, and the hero's like, we don't do that kind of thing, and the villain's like, listen, you're gonna have to take the chrome armor off and wear a dark cloak to sneak into this city of thieves, and I'll show you exactly the back door to take. So you get a lot of the role playing part of it, where you have the back and forth of each side, both battling for supremacy of their particular ethical and or moral outlook on the world, as well as the character growth as the hero starts to soften up, maybe seeing the villain softens up after seeing the hero's family, maybe, or the struggles the hero has to go through. There's plenty of times where we see those stories where the villain defends the hero against others because the hero is like just being shit on, if you, for lack of a better word. Kylie, hey, what's up? Oh, boom! Both of you guys at nearly the same time. You didn't see each other. Dead Man probably saw it, but Dead Man and Vampanoy both pop out the quotes. Yeah, you either live long enough to become the hero, or you'll become the villain. Vampanoy says you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Yeah, Two-Face from The Dark Knight. Yep. Or you'll live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And maybe there is an aspect of the hero knows which path they're going down. And the reason why I bring this up is because, of course, you have the camaraderie and antagonistic elements between the two having to work together, both sides working together, and then, of course, both of those elements get drawn into it. The villain. We've seen this plenty of times in police procedurals where the simple act of the villain having a normal, calm conversation with the enforcer, the hero, puts both of them at odds with the people that they are normally in league with. The cop who trusts the street informant, suddenly other cops are like, oh, are you on a take now? You're evil. What are you doing? And the knight who has a friend out in the woods or something that's like part of this banditry, and they're like, you're a knight, you can't befriend them. And of course the bandits are like, why are you talking to the good guys? So now, of course, you instantly have at least two antagonists for the entire party, and a lot of hilarity ensues. Yesterday, Rapscallion, or I can't remember I apologize for butchering the avatar name, but yesterday was talking about not finding very good chase mechanics in a lot of role-playing games. And one of the great things about being, the hero and villain teaming up is the chase, running away from, as tensions build, they know that they have to make a run for it. And again, I bring up again, tension timers, anything you can do to get the players to keep moving. Sure, the heroes might be able to fight off, I don't know, a small cadre of fiends coming from the netherworld, but they can't both do that and fight off a flock of, I don't know what they're called. What would be a group of celestials? A flock, a group, Raspalicious. Yes, that's it. Thank you there, Dead Man. Oof. Oh, my memory. That's what I get for being the old dude here. Oh, my grays are starting to show in my brain. But yeah, the Getting from A to B is always a thing. Trying to travel from A to B. The movie Fury Road, Mad Max Fury Road, is a perfect example of getting from A to B. A one big giant chase scene from getting from one place to another with people who are in the gray zone, somewhat villainous, somewhat heroic. They all want the same thing, but they're all fighting for it for very few resources and such. And you know, we've seen this in video games before. Not necessarily the hero and villain fighting side by side, but we've seen this in video games where maybe there's a villain who is monologuing, who's chastising the hero, and for some reason the hero can't get to the villain yet. Maybe they hear the villain over PA system, or the villain is a disembodied head, or a voice that reverberates through a dungeon, or speaking through the looking through the eyes, or speaking through the mouths of their minions, and throwing a number of things in their way. I bring to you such video games as Donkey Kong, or one of the God of War series or something, where you know a lot of times there's a level where the hero's up on high, or maybe standing on a ledge, or um, has animated a statue, and the heroes have to run around and dodge debris falling from the ceiling, or again going to Donkey Kong, jumping over barrels to try to get to the the Donkey Kong, um, and of course disappearing to only have to repeat all of this through the next level and save the princess. And so there is a part of this where you have yourself doing battle with minions and evil things. You also have the need to have to maybe flee if there are too many baddies coming out of the woodworks. Tomorrow we're going to talk about world building, and one of the world building challenges that has kind of solved this issue of combining the idea in one setting where you do battle, you do flee, and you do have to have problem solving are the zombie apocalypse is a perfect example where you know a handful of zombies, no big deal. We could do battle with them easily. Too many zombies, and you turn a corner, or you drive over a pit, or there's a broken bridge, and down below is so many zombies that just it's like a whole nation of them. Yeah, you're going to have to run from something like that. And then of course there's always the problem solving. We're in a boat, and there's zombie hands reaching up from beneath the boat. What do you do? There's zombies behind a gated fence, and they're pushing up against the gated fence because they see us. What do you do? There are zombies inside of a minivan, but there's something important to get from under the minivan. What do you do? It's all that kind of crap, right? Deadman says the skeletal dragon from the mission uh, in ES5. Did you mean ES5 Skyrim? As you push through the mission area, approaching the dragon, you can hear the dragon talking to you. And one of the tropes of the villain talking to you, I think sometimes we might miss that a little bit in our role playing games, where the villain gets to get a little bit braggadocious, a little bit of the my evil plan is, and let me explain it to you because I'm the chess master, and the hero's just like rolling their eyes, like, really, you're going to be monologuing the entire time? But again, tropes are there for a reason, and sometimes it's kind of fun to be the game master and kind of rub it in the faces of the heroes, because we want our heroes to beat their ass. That's the whole point. There is no point to have a TPK if you spent like 28 hours designing a dungeon and it's the first level, right? This is supposed to be a 16 session arc, and it's the second session. Of course you're supposed to beat ass. Vampanoid is like every Indiana Jones movie. Of course, every Indiana Jones, Indiana Jones and some kind of villain is always like, ha ha ha, I've got the whatever the MacGuffin is, the medallion, the statue, the key to the ark, whatever. Ha ha! Come at me, Indiana. Let's see if you know. And then of course Indiana swings over and punches him in the throat and is like, ooh, you know. Um, the other thing about the hero and villain working together is that this allows the game master to like preload the dangers in front of the hero, so that it's not such a surprise to the hero, even though they are just now getting confronting the danger. So an example would be, all right, where do we have to go next? And it's like, you got to go to the City of Thieves. You got to go to Madripoor. So, you have to go to the evil area you've never been before. Oh, and of course, it's always a surprise. They're always like literally just landing and getting off a plane or getting off a boat or traveling across the countryside. And they have the conversation like, okay, so what do we have to do again? You're like, just follow my lead. Put these black dark cloaks on, and everyone's like, ooh, they smell funny. We're going to pretend and keep your head down. Don't look anyone in the eye, and then move on and such. And it's a great way to, like I said, preload the dangers. Like, you know what? I didn't tell you guys you were going to do this last session, but this session, here's why you're here. Here's what's going on, and go. Right? Vampidoid says, I had a Lich cast time stop the first turn and used one turn monologuing. Yeah, explaining the whole thing. And you know what? Well, we know monologuing isn't an in-world thing. Monologuing is to explain to the audience what the plot is. Just in case you missed the last hour and 37 minutes of the movie, here we are going to explain the plot and, of course, double down on why the hero needs to do what they're doing. Maybe pull some of the emotional, threads and whatnot. And that's really what the whole monologuing thing is. It's not for the villain. I mean, it's not for the villain's use. It's for the audience. But there are some egos out there, and some huge egos need to explain to people why they're doing the thing. And so often explaining what they're doing before their plan goes off. And you're like, maybe you should explain everything after it happens. Like after the nuclear bombs go off and they're like, oh my God, nuclear bombs. You're like, yeah, remember that thing? I did that. Too late, I did that. Cameron says, with some magic mouths or copper tubes and scrying equipment, one can create their own scrying ceiling voice in a dungeon. Maybe even taunt the party and let the party taunt them. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, the old yippee-ki-yay, mother, you know what I mean? That's what that is. That's what the walkie-talkie and the hip and talking back and forth with the bad guy. And like you said, there's an easy way to do it in Dungeons and Dragons with the magic mouths, like you said, the copper tubes, the scrying, the astral projection, the possessing the minions and speaking through their mouths, the telepathic connections, and the good old, the good old hand wavy because reason. Well, how come the bad guy can speak to us in the dungeon and we can speak back to him? Because, there was an old anime television show that aired here literally on regular old TV back in the old days called Star Blazers or Battleship Yamato. And Star Blazers always had this bad guy that was always like doing the two-finger polite clap to the heroes whenever they would succeed in something. Kind of reminds me of Science Ninja Team Gatchaman, or also known as Phoenix Force. What was their name? Battle of the Planets. That was it. Yeah, there was another villain in that one that used to heroes, you succeeded this time. You look scrumptious, heroes. Yeah, the whole thing. But better next time. All that kind of stuff. Mufa's like monologuing. Savage Worlds has a trait where you have to monologue when you draw a certain card on initiative. Yeah, yeah. I've seen, believe it or not, there's some there's some players out there that will try to use and or abuse the monologue rule, and between as you're trying to give your monologue, some heroes are players are like, I hit him while he's monologuing. Do I get a surprise action? You're like, no. But I have seen monologuing as a real concrete black and white rule in especially superhero games, where one rule is monologuing is a zero action cost. Of course you can monologue, and it becomes, how do you explain this? Monologuing, the soliloquy, the little the breaking your arm to pat yourself on the back motif, is the kind of thing that actually doesn't really take you any time. If you ever notice, like a ticking time bomb, they always cut away from how long the bomb ticks to let the person monologue, and it seems like that time never matters. Uh, when the collapsing structure is happening, it always somehow fades. The sound fades in the background, so the hero and villain get to have that discussion. In your game, you can just say, "Listen, I know you want to jump the gun and hit the bad guy while he's monologuing. Relax. It's a zero cost action. All your words, you can talk as much as you want. Don't worry about it. Just keep doing it. That's what role playing is. Don't let the don't let the dice get involved, intrude on that part. Um, yeah, Kylie Post says, I know plenty of people who love to talk about their jobs. It's not just supervillains who would give you too much information. Oh man, that's hilarious. It's not just supervillains. Yeah, there's you know what? It's actually a good conversational trick if you can find the thing that someone's passionate about and ask them an open-ended question, and then all you need to do is just like starting up a some kind of like engine or something, or like lawn equipment. You're like, vroom, 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 and then boom, they're just gonna go off, and you could just sit back, twiddle your thumbs, like, yeah, mm-hmm, right. Now the problem, I'm thinking Kylie's like, the downside to that is doing it by accident and you didn't mean to, or you have that coworker that's like, you need to ask them a 10-second, like a yes and no question, like, hey, do you have the file to the, do you have the key to the, do you know the directions to the, and you're like, you're like gritting yourself, you're rolling your eyes, like, please don't go off, and all of a sudden they start going off about all their accomplishments, and you're just like, fuck, shut up. And that's navigating the third pillar right there. You're like, oh, it's the coworker that puts all the staplers in the color coded size order or something, and you're like, please, not again, not again. So going back to the battle flee problem solving thing as well, is that on either side of the good guy bad guy dynamic, there may be a need to, like, one side has the information that they should pick one of the three. Do we fight? Do we run? Or do we finagle our way around? Do we finesse our way around this problem? While the other side might have a different opinion about it. The the bad person who is small time, right? They are the sure, I sell forgeries. I sell art forgeries, paintings and sculptures and things like that. Like, I sell, but I don't kill people. Like, I take money from, basically rich ass people, and yeah, they're happy with what they got, and I'm happy, and that kind of thing. But they don't want the world to be nuked, or a plague to spread around the world, or something of that nature. And so they may understand that the situation they're going in is far more dangerous than heroes know. So it's like, hey, we need to run. you don't know this, but we need to run. And then the same thing for the hero. The bad guy might be thinking like, hey, let's make this deal with this other bad guy. And the hero's like, listen, I've got like 7 dead bodies from the villain, and you're probably going to get your throat cut and stuffed into the trunk of a car as well. So, you know, dead man's like, or worse, I've known couples who too much information in their private time. Yep. Oh, that reminds me, guys. I'm gonna have to put in a link to my OnlyFans account here. Let me hold on. Let me get this. Yeah, that's a whole new meaning to rolling those dice. Yeah, there's got to be a content creator out there who's got their YouTube or Twitch channel or something linked to their OnlyFans. I'm sure there is. Please don't go searching for it, guys. Don't do that. You'll have to poke out your third eye. You go too far down that rabbit hole. You're just like, they're like, this episode is about oozes and plants. What the hell? Anyway, that was a weird segue. All right, so um, chess master hero villain tropes also can be a thing where um, one of the most one of the probably top 5 Batman villains, uh, the Riddler, leaves clues for the heroes, and so and we've known this in a lot of tropes where there's a brainy villain who puts obstacles in the way of the heroes, and those obstacles, of course, can be literal puzzles, traps, hazards, again, obstacles, um, all kinds of like literally, like in Marvel Comics, there was a hero known as Arcade, and Arcade literally would take buildings or structures and create like a deadly funhouse. He was the Marvel cinematic Marvel Comics bad guy version of um from the Saw movies. Um, yeah, yeah, too much information. We decided to cosplay. I know you did. You got makeup all over you guys. Anyway, the the idea that there's a villain out there or an adversary who's maybe trying to challenge the heroes, so they set up they they purposefully leave clues that there will be a fight. There will be a moment where you have to run from the danger. There will be moments where you have to finesse your way in, around, and through traps or things like that. I think in Dungeons and Dragons, they've tried to portray a Sararak, the Lich or the Demi Lich. Is it Billy? Billy the Puppet? Is it Billy? Billy the Puppet from the Saw movies. That has appeared in the Saw franchise. It was used by John Kramer to communicate. Let's start this over again. Saw movies. Billy the Puppet. Billy is a puppet that has appeared in the Saw franchise. It was used by John Kramer to communicate with his test subjects by delivering recorded messages, often appearing on a television screen or occasionally in person to describe the details of the traps and the means by which the test subjects could survive. Yeah, yeah. Um, this is a perfect example of the villain being there and getting the monologue without like literally explaining like, by the way, guys, here's how you get past level 3, or here's how I expect you to get past level 3. Yep. AGR is like, hello, Mr. Fantastic. I want to play a game. Yes. Can we play a game? Exactly. And is it a trope? Sure. Is it literally explaino vision. I'm going to explain what's in front of you. You must navigate through the danger that I have just explained to you. Wow, you've gotten through my danger. Well, guess what? Here is another danger that you must get past, right? I mean, is that kind of a trope-ish, predictable kind of thing? Sure. But mind you, listen, this is about role playing. You want to mix it up, you want to have some back and forth. This is a great way for the player characters to, like, give the middle finger to the F you, you mother, while they're doing the thing, or hell, even the whole high five at the end of it. Like, we got through the, I don't know, swinging pendulums and falling axes and fire breathing statues and the pit traps that are randomly placed throughout the pathway into the Tomb of Horrors or something. Yeah, sure. And even a villain who's like, if you make it through the 5 tests, no one has ever made it through the 5 tests, but if you make it, I will give myself up, and you will have the great treasure that everyone's been going after. Like, why the hell not do that? Now, the hard part in a lot of with these challenges, okay, talking about, doing battle with some bad guys because they disgorged some bad guys, and then they're like, okay, well, now here's some traps to get past, and the heroes figure out a way to get past the traps or the obstacles or something. The running from a fight part has always been a problem. I don't know, for years, for generations, technically, in role playing games, at least since the mid '70s, and getting player characters to understand that running from a fight is just as good. And I think it's see as anything. Now, in the beginning of role playing, characters were very fragile, and one of the complaints has been from, as players have played on, is that, well, characters are fragile, and you have to. It feels like every game felt like a Dungeon Crawl Classics funnel where you had to make like 3 or 4 characters just to make it through to the good stuff. And so, of course, they've padded out a lot of the gaming material so that there's more survivability. But in turn, that combined with the play style of like video games and other interactions, there's a intrinsic, whatever I'm confronting is only of a challenge of which I can overcome given the proper circumstances. Then there's no reason to run. And so I feel like there really isn't even, most games don't even place into the gaming mechanics like, here's how you run, why you should run, and situations for Game Master to use as a tool to have your players run. And I get it. Some players may think like, oh, you're purposefully setting up something that I can't defeat. And we talked about this before, and we're going to talk about this all week, about a challenge you cannot overcome. Is it right to have a challenge you can't overcome? And I feel like there is a place for that, because most things, what happens is, psychologically, we think there's a hard stop when there's something we can't challenge. Like, there's a period at the end of a sentence, and creatively, there's no periods. There are always colons and periods and semicolons, right? It's no, you can't defeat the dragon, but ... right? There's always something after that. And I feel like the tool to say, you know what, no, you'll never defeat this horde fighting it head on. You're going to have to use some other mechanism. No, you will not be able to survive if you stay in the collapsing dungeon in the mountain. You're going to have to go around. There's no way you're going to suddenly find the bad guy in the first session in a 17 session arc. Literally. No, you can't archer. You can't shoot him in the head. No, you can't stalk him down. No. These are just clues. There's a reason why it's a 17 session arc. That kind of thing. Times Dungeon says, I had a player pour a keg of ale over the nerdy weak wizard who won a fist fight with an NPC, like a player pouring Gatorade over the coach or a player after winning the game. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, the dwarf in the back with the champagne bottle and his thumb over the cork, going like, shake, 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 shake. lifting them up over their heads, doing the like the body wave and whatnot, or tackling them on the field. Like, yeah, uh, that's hilarious. Pouring a keg of ale over the nerdy weak wizard who won a fist fight with an end piece. Oh man, DM Times Dungeon says DMs should learn to make a challenge that can be overcome, but with a sacrifice or loss or scarring of some kind. And that's the thing, right? Like, um, even like Gaster Two Soul said the other day, like he's like, I don't think there should be impossibilities, but they should work for it. And I agree, there should be some kind of like sacrifice or loss or scarring or punishment. And mind you, that sacrifice could be any number of things. It could be something on the player character's character sheet. Yeah, your Frostbrand sword, the second most famous Dungeons and Dragons weapon ever, which is kind of the coolest, other than the flame tongue. Yeah, sure, your Frostbrand sword cracked and shattered when you stabbed it through the pit fiend's heart, but dude, you stabbed it through a pit fiend's heart and killed it, right? Like, maybe you could sacrifice reputation. You can sacrifice a way to get back home. There's even the sacrifice of an eye, the classic Odin, Thor, Viking styled sacrifice of a limb or a body part to obtain some kind of wisdom from it, or make some kind of learned lesson, or it's a sign of like achievement in battle or something of that nature. You know, uh, Being scarred. What's across your face? Oh, those are scars from a harpy that tricked me or something. And I'll always have these scars to remind me of failing to understand just how dangerous they were or something. Oh, Wayne Brock says yes, there is a place for challenges players can't overcome. Makes game more realistic. Players aren't superheroes; they're normal people who choose to face danger. And Dead Man's like, well, unless you're playing a superhero game. Um, True, but you know what? I think it's weird because there are things I feel like the trope of the thing is that you can't overcome it. Like I brought up the Terminator franchise, right? Like the very first Terminator movie, the trope of the Terminator is it can't be stopped. Now, technically, that's not true because they did stop it, but I feel like there should be monsters, that dragons and the Tarask and some of these other big baddies that like your weapons kind of should be bouncing off of it, and they should be having very little effect. And they, you know, now mind you, like I said before, if you stat it, they can kill it. And yeah, players will come up with like, whoa, it's a Tarask. We'll just kite it. We'll just fly around it and kite it. It can't do anything to me. And I think that kind of takes away from the imposition that like it when you insert this into your world, we should be thinking we can't stop it unless something else, unless we creatively come up with a situation to stop the thing. The movies, the Wrath and Clash of the Titans movies, although maybe not the best executions, it's the small time heroes doing battle with Olympian godlike beings. Well, does the hero technically stand there and fight them? No, they actually have to circumvent and circumnavigate a situation to stop the clash slash wrath of the Titans, that kind of thing. Times Dungeon says players can run from it if they aren't ready for the hardship and then come back. Now, one way of overcoming these impossible odds could just be leveling up. Hey, you're third level. Fighting a pit fiend is not the smartest thing to do. Maybe when you get 8th, ninth, 10th level, you might start thinking that this is a better thing to do. So, in a sense, there is a leveling gap that you could play with. And so, introducing extremely high CR challenge rating creatures into your game against your lower level players might be a way to impose on them, like, yeah, there's things out here who could beat your ass. That Rakshasa you think you're gonna sway when you're second level. Yeah, that Rakshasa on their own can wipe up the floor with you, but the Rakshasa's not even gonna raise a finger. They're gonna have their minions do it. And you're literally gonna cast a spell on a Rakshasa. Shing! I just unravel and weave your spells, whatever. And again, it's I'm the bad guy. I'm the chess player. I'm the one that listens to classical music. Even though, I mean, and if you use music in your game, do you want to turn on some classical music to make the bad guy look like they're a badass? Sure, why not? Are they playing a Dungeons and Dragons fantasy version of chess with chess pieces that look like the player characters? Of course they do, because trope, right? But later on, maybe the players are then able to confront that bad guy. That's a way to do it, I think, without like literally going, I rolled a random blue dragon. All right, first level characters, roll initiative. Like, don't do it. Don't do it like that. Um, um, an Anokeo. I'm going to pronounce it Anokeo. It depends on the tone of the game, really. That said, I think there are some things that should provoke players to say, "Oh shit, we need to get out of here." Like when Raku Red Samurai show up in Shadowrun. You know, it. I love. I have to agree with you because I feel like there should be things, especially like a sandbox world. If you're going to create a sandbox world, um, AO AON. This is an organizational account. Well, you sound like a no KO to me, so whatever. Like you know your own name. I'm just I'm picking. Wayne Brock says danger shouldn't inherently be dangerous. Tactics need to matter. You may not be able to overcome it in direct confrontation, with the group at hand, but you can retreat and form a better plan. And TJ responds like, "That's the thing. A really good bad day, bad a really good bad buy can do some crazy things. I love it." Or do you mean a really good bad guy, or a really good bad day? I think both of these. Archive of Nethys. Ooh, I did not know that. I did not. I didn't. Sorry. Being live, my brain is always all over the place because I'm always like reading the three chats and all that kind of business. By the way, if you guys don't realize this already, the show is TriCast. So there's the YouTube, and you can of course come in live on that chat. There's the Twitch channel and the Discord server. And of course, the Discord server is open for if you want to drop in like artwork or links and things like that. Of course, you guys can't do that in the live chat. So yes. Oh, we are the Pathfinder SRD. I did not. I knew it from somewhere, and I couldn't put my. I couldn't put my finger on it. I was like, shit, I'm losing my brain. Well, um, thanks for stopping by. Um, mm, mm, mm. Uh, AGR says classical music and chess clearly evil to the gallows. Clearly evil, straight to the gallows. Because of course, evil people have to play chess and listen to classical music. Oh, now mind you, they have to do this while they are like behind bars or in prison. Some kind of like strangely comfortable yet isolated prison place that's like a chained cage that's also like suspended above like some other dangerous pit with chains to it, and the hero has to visit the bad guy, and the bad guy's always like moving one chess piece every couple of years or whatnot. Yeah, there it is. There's the dead man put in the link to the archive. Yep. The Pathfinder SRD. I forget about. Man, there's Pathfinder's going through such stresses now. I kind of a shame, I think, in a way. They took a gamble with the second edition. You always fear losing your core group when you do something like that. Although if we want to be honest, it's not like they have Pathfinder police. But yeah, that's a side note. Maybe one day we'll talk about like addition wars and things of that nature. I don't know. I don't know. I think that's a circular argument. Wayne says, "Where in the world is this, man? It's not quite 6 a.m. for me in Central U.S. time. I'm East Coast time, so it is. I go live 6 a.m. So for me, it is 6:50 a.m. in the morning, and I go live 6 a.m. each day, Monday through Friday, at least for 10 months out the year, 10 to 11 months out the year. Usually around mid-November, I have to bail out because I'm a mailman. So in early, out late kind of thing happens. And this year, I didn't even get put the show back online until February, March, something like that. Ty's Dungeon says, I also like to add diseases or disabilities that players get from an impossible fight. Ooh. Also, sometimes fighting might not be the best choice in the world. Like like having open wounds in a swamp or something, or fighting that creature that disgorges acid or is diseased itself, or the zombie horde that is carries parasites on their skin and flesh or something of that nature. Yeah. A plague has been sweeping the country, and the PCs are like, I'm not getting an open wound. I'm not getting kissed by the harpy or something like that. They're going to spit their evil fluids into my open orifice. Wayne Brock says, I haven't played D&D in nearly 20 years, but I'd love to sit at this man's table as a player and let him spin a tale. You must be talking about somebody else. Not me. But dude, that's what the channel's for. It's like, in a selfish way, this is kind of like my way to like game at a table with a bunch of people who are like-minded, who have the same stories and the same like enthusiasm. This is like my morning coffee, to be honest with you. It's like I feel like, before I get on air, 5 to 10 minutes I'm in the Discord because I have to bring up all the chat windows. I'm just give you a little behind the scenes, this part of it. So when I do that, sometimes I'm a little bit like cotton-headed, right? Like it's like sometimes I'm not always there, and random things will just be coming in my head, or I've got to deal with something. I've got 2 cats that run around behind me, and one of them will just lay down, and as she's like rubbing against my leg, the other one will start to have some problems and things. And when just before I get on air, I'm a little like I had this nervous energy, like I really shouldn't be doing this. I really this is stupid. I'm a 50-year-old dude, man. It's like I'm an old head that's out here doing this thing. Like, what am I doing? No one wants to be here and no one wants to listen to all this kind of stuff. But then I realized like we're all searching for like that special something, or like whether it's a creative spark, or to know that somebody out there is like do they think of the world like I think of the world? And so that's kind of where I'm coming from, right? Like me, like sometimes I'll watch a movie or a TV show and then I'll stop and go, what's that about? And I'd be thinking like, I wonder what their stats would be, and for no good reason, I'll just stop. Like, it could be the worst show in the world, and I'm like, wait a minute, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I feel you there, Wayne. Wayne says, I've watched a couple, but watching doesn't let one feel the moment. Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah, it's something about being in the moment. That's why I started doing live shows, because it's like, I don't want to just talk at people. That's stupid. I gotta hear. If I'm a dumbass, I want to hear the you're a dumbass comment back. I don't want to just speak out there into the world and stuff. Mufa's like, new show, life advice from DBJ. Yeah, right. Oh man. Deadman says, I do have a few videos of his games, and I do have a few games. They're terrible. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Sorry, I'm going to dampen noise. This is a great morning show. It's all right. For high-level enemies, that for the out level, I like to use them as a time limit in some missions. The mobs in a dungeon or facility may just be there to delay or slow them down. When the PCs go hot, they call in the big guns that are coming in behind them, purging a facility or something. Oh, like a attention time. You know what? You're going to have to be around for when we talk about those kind of things, and maybe we might even do a whole week of something like that. I'll put that on the back burner. Maybe we might come up with something later on in the week, but well, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good one. Lastly, Times Dungeon says I run 4 to 7 sessions a week. Damn! And when I am not running or planning a sessions, I'm watching D&D or tabletop RPG things. Damn, you must have a lot of time on your hands. Oh, I'm jealous of you. I am jealous of you. Anyway, guys, I've taken up enough of your time. It's been an hour. Thank you so much for just stopping by and hanging out, or hell, just waking up or whatever. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. And please like, share, subscribe, do the little thing. Thank you so much. Have a great day. I will see thee tomorrow for World Building Wednesday.